Welcome to the Scott Horman Podcast. I'm Scott Horman, and after spending decades as a player, coach, and mentor, I've learned that the greatest lessons in baseball have very little to do with batting averages, earned run averages, or championships. They have everything to do with character, leadership, perseverance, faith, and becoming the kind of person other players want to follow. Each week, we'll have an honest conversation about baseball, high school sports in general, coaching, parenting, player development, recruiting, and the moments that shape young athletes long after the final out. Because at the end of the day, trophies collect dust, character lasts forever. Welcome to the Scott Horman Podcast. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Scott Horman Podcast. I am excited as can be today because I've got one of my very good friends, and we've got something special coming up for us in the near future, something that not a lot of people can say they did, and not a lot of people can say they've been around 40 years afterwards to celebrate it. So I've got Randy Hubbard, our running back from our 1986, running back and holder, which turned out to be one of the most important positions on the field for us a couple times that year, from our 1986 state championship football team at Fairfield High School. And we're getting ready to have our 40th reunion. We did our 20th. I think we did a big deal out of our 20th, but we're making a big deal out of this 40th. And our whole team is getting put into the Fairfield Hall of Fame, which I think is long overdue. But Randy, thanks for being on with me, and appreciate you taking some time out of your day. I know that you're really busy now that you're retired. So
I know.
You're not on the golf course. So thanks for being with us.
No problem. Yeah, I had to fit you into my schedule there. So
yeah,
it's pretty tight these days. So.
Oh, that's awesome. But I tell you, and my schedule's kind of freed up too lately. So I'm retired from coaching, and listen, let's talk about how crazy that time was at Fairfield for a second, because not only we won the state championship, but a year earlier they won it in baseball. 2 years earlier, I guess, but calendar-wise, a year earlier they won it in baseball in '85 at the spring of '85, and just the athletes that we had at that school were just unbelievable. So talk about your time at Fairfield and what it meant to you as a man and how it helped you grow.
Oh, yeah. Well, growing up there, my brother came through there. So, watching him and all his friends grow up and play there. And, they were very talented too. They just didn't put it all together to win many games. So, it was always fun to watch, but I always thought that there was something special about our group. I don't know what it was, but I think we hit it off pretty quick. All of us getting along so well and having so much fun together. And, it was fun to see all the athletes in front of us and, watch them test us. They didn't make it easy on us.
No. We were we were coming for their jobs, and they did not make it easy on us at all.
No, not at all. So, they beat up on us from the time we were, 9, 10 years old to the time we got up there. And, and I think that's what made us better is that, they knew we were good, but they were also very good. And we pushed each other.
They were extremely good. And he's talking about guys like Steve Phillips, Johnny Curtis, Tom Popplewell, Jeff Sizemore, Todd Oberdorf, Danny Slazo. These guys, I remember, and I'll never forget the first time I went in under center, right? Like in a game, it was our sophomore year, and somebody got hurt, and all of a sudden I'm in the game, and I'm taking a snap from a 6'8". I stood straight up and took the snap, but the guys were huge.
Right.
I think I was 145 pounds my sophomore year, right?
Right.
It was crazy, but that time at Fairfield was so special on the wrestling mat, on the football field, on the basketball court, on the baseball field, track, softball. It just wasn't guys. There were great athletes on the girls' side too.
Well, and I think it's an attitude. I think, once you get that feeling of success, it spreads. In our sophomore year, football wise, it wasn't the record that was successful. It was that final game of the season.
Yes.
When we beat Baden for the first time in 30 some years, that kind of springboarded everybody to say, you know what, we're good. We had a bad year that year because of people getting hurt and things like that, but that kind of catapulted not only us but the whole school.
It made our season. It made
absolutely.
our whole season. Like we didn't care. We beat Baden. Like,
Right.
It's kind of like I was out here in Colorado, and Heritage and Arapahoe High School are literally 5 miles from each other.
Right.
I mean, like, I was told by our AD at the time, listen, you don't beat Arapahoe, it doesn't matter if you win all the other games.
Right.
Like, you got to beat Arapahoe, right? Like, that was
right.
what we, so it was kind of the same way. And we never lost to Baden, by the way. So
no, we did not.
So that's kind of cool. In our 10th, 11th, 12th grade, because we were very different. Like, it's at Fairfield, we had our own freshman building,
right,
where you played together as freshmen, and then you didn't go to high school till you were a sophomore in high school. And
right.
so those 3 years we had never lost to Baden, which anybody who's
right.
going to listen and goes to Baden, Tim Ritchie, sorry about all your kids going to Baden right now, but Timmy was a great running back, defensive back for us that helped us win a lot of games. And I was a little upset with him when he sent his kid to Baden, but I get it, whatever.
Yeah.
So you as a player, you were undersized. Holy cow, you were undersized, right? You
still
were,
am.
you still am. But that never really affected you. Like, I don't think I ever watched you shy away from a hit. I don't think I ever watched you, tell me why that was the way it was for you. Like, explain that, because heck, I was a quarterback. I didn't like to get hit at all.
When you grow up in a family like mine, where football is pretty much something we all did. And, my oldest brother, he wasn't very big either when he was in high school, but he was big physically, like muscular wise, and matured pretty quickly. And he was a strong athlete, just hard-nosed guy. And Rusty was probably the fastest of us all, but he was also the biggest. So I had to be the smarter one. I had to figure out how am I going to do it when I'm not very big and things like that. So one thing I found out is that backing down doesn't help. All it's going to do is get you hurt. And if I'm going to go full speed, and hopefully I get lucky and win a few of those battles. So I think I figured out how to get leverage on people. Good thing for me is a lot of times they didn't see me coming. So, I'm behind a line of guys that are, 6'2", 6'3". They didn't see me until I was through the line anyway. So, and I always felt like blocking for me was a challenge, but it was also something I was proud of because I thought I was pretty good at it. So
you were, and I remember you during practices. There were a lot of guys that when a running play would happen and the other running back was. Now we ran a straight T formation. We ran like you had a fullback, you had running backs on both sides, right? And you had two tight ends, and we ran a straight T formation. If we threw the ball 20 times in the game, that was a crazy amount, right?
Exactly.
I don't know if that's a testament to who the quarterback was or if that just was a sign of the times. Either one. But I remember in practice, there were guys that would step out of the huddle when they knew they were going to be the lead blocker and you would step in. I remember that.
Yeah.
So you had the respect of the players and talk about, like, we haven't said this yet, but your father, Ben Hubbard, was our head coach.
Yeah.
How hard was that for you?
It's just part of the deal. It was difficult because, you're expected to be better than a lot of other people. And when you're not very big, that means you got to do some things that are somewhat special. You got to be able to take on the big defensive end coming across the line. You got to be able to take on a linebacker that's shooting the gap. You got to be able to outrun some people at times and do some things that you probably wouldn't be able to do normally just because of your size.
Do you think? Do you think your father? And this is my dad coached me in baseball. You know that my dad was crazy tough on me in baseball.
Yeah, he was.
He was crazy tough on me in everything. But I love that now, looking back on it. But do you ever think that you got shafted at times because you were the coach's son and he didn't want people to think you were being favored? Because I felt that way, dude. I felt like Randy's not in right here, and he should be.
I think there were times, but what am I going to do about it? I just had to do the best I could. There were times I felt like maybe I didn't get a chance to run the ball when I could have. basketball wise, yeah, obviously I wasn't going to be a basketball star. But I
Really?
think,
Why not?
but I think I don't know. I think I got looked at a little bit different by some other coaches, not just in football,
Yeah.
but in other sports because of who my dad was.
Yeah.
Try to make it a little tougher on me, but that's just part of life. And when you're a coach's son, that's going to happen. So,
Yeah. Yeah, you do.
and especially at that level, you're a Division I high school team, and we got 135 guys on the team, and a guy that's 5'5", 150 pounds, maybe,
Maybe.
is starting and playing. You got to make sure you do the right things because people are going to question it all the time. So, was it tough at times? Yeah, it was, but I think he did a pretty good job of keeping the football stuff on the field and everything else.
And I'm gonna just blow your, just for whatever reason, I didn't realize how much I loved your father till he was gone.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I never realized how much your father meant to me in my journey until after he passed away. I'm going to get emotional a little bit. I'm sure you will as well. But he, without saying much, because he wasn't a man of a lot of words,
right,
impacted my life and who I am as much as any coach I've ever had. And, when he passed away, it was a testament to how many people came to his funeral. And obviously your mom passed away just a week later,
4 days,
4 days later, which is crazy. And what a love story that is, right? Like there should be a book written about that, right? Like unbelievable. Right. But the amount of people we saw and the memories of him and the love that we all have for him, like, can't thank him enough for what he did for me personally. And I know there's many guys out there that feel the same way. And it's crazy because when you played for him at the time, you didn't even know if he liked you. So
there were times I didn't know if he liked me. So
well, yeah, I tell people all the time, like I've had three high school coaches. One was Ron Chastain, who belittled me and made me want to prove him wrong.
Right.
One was Gary Yates, who was a mastermind of emotional, he was really good at the, psychology of the game and really taught you how to think on the field and in baseball. And then it was your dad, who didn't say much, but with a look, you knew exactly what he wanted to tell you, right? Like I threw an interception, I'd look at him and he'd side eye me as I was walking. I'd walk to the other end of the thing so I didn't have to see him. But man, what a great man. And obviously your family, what a close knit group you have and your kids and got to know him, and that's awesome. And so I'm thankful for him in my life. So
I appreciate that.
But let's talk about that senior year and what a special time that was. We had built something special and we knew we were going to be pretty decent. At what point during the season did you go, oh, wait a second, we got a chance here? Like, wow.
That's a tough question because I always tell the story that when he got the job, he came to me first and talked about how difficult it was going to be being the coach's son and all that kind of stuff. And I told him, when we're seniors, we're going to win it all. And
what year? What grade were you in when he got the job? I think it was
we were coming out of 6th grade, going into 7th grade. And I told him, I just said, hey, we're going to win it all my senior year. And he laughed it off kind of a little bit, and he was, he thought that was kind of funny. And I said, I can handle it, Dad, no problem. Yeah. Well, you said we never lost to Baden. Well, our group never lost to Princeton from the time we were 7th grade until we were seniors.
Yeah.
Which people don't understand. Not losing to Princeton
that's a bigger deal than not losing to Dayton.
Right. Now, we didn't beat Princeton either. We tied them 3 times.
Yeah.
So, that's one thing. But, to me, it was, I don't know. I think I felt it from the time we were in 7th grade that we were something special, that we were going to be pretty good. Now, do you have to have a lot of great things go your way? Absolutely.
Very luck. You got to have a lot of luck as well.
Exactly. And we had a bunch of luck, at just the right time, So, did I ever feel like we couldn't do it? No. Did I think we had a really good shot? I think after we came back, after getting beat by Purcell, I think at that point I thought we knew we could be pretty good. That we had a good year to go. And that just if we can get into the playoffs, we got a shot.
Yeah, and we went 13-1 that year, and our only loss to was Purcell, and they won the Division II state championship that year. They had two players go to Ohio State, right? Like they were really good.
They were really
and to be honest, like that was the worst game I ever played as a quarterback. That year, like I was horrible.
Well, I think they all were pretty bad.
Well, and I think the reason is they had a great game plan, and they were playing a very, very loose coverage. They weren't trying to come after the quarterback. They'd let me sit back there, but they were playing a loose, 2 deep, 4 underneath. They knew we liked to hit our tight ends. They knew we liked to hit our backs out of the backfield, and they took a lot away from us that game, and we still lost 17-14. Was that overtime game, or was it?
It was double overtime.
Double overtime.
Yeah, 23-17.
Yeah, I threw a pick. Yeah. I threw a pick. I had Renners in the end zone and threw a pick to end the game. I remember that. And so
we had a chance to win it twice, and we missed a field goal and something else. So
it was probably the hold, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I kind of feel the same way. I felt like after we lost that Purcell Marion game, I was like, we're not feeling this again. Like that was devastating.
It was.
But really, when we beat Middletown at home, like that was a big deal, man. Like they were
good.
They were really good, and they were really fast. And all of the newspaper articles were saying there's no way Fairfield, their speed's going to kill Fairfield.
Right.
And we beat them, and then we go on to when we beat Princeton, I was like, okay, here we go.
Right.
Like, that was, I think that game to me was almost as big as the state championship game. It really was our state championship game, because if we lost that game, we were out of the playoffs.
Exactly.
So talk about those games, and let's talk about the Princeton game, because you had to hold for a game-winning kick, basically.
Right.
And we missed one, and they were offside. I mean, talk about how lucky we were that game.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, it takes all kinds of breaks. We start off the game, they go 98 yards for a touchdown right off the bat. We drive 12 minutes, it seemed like, to score and tie it up. They come back and score in like 4 plays, and then, when we drive to the end of the game and score, they had the ball last. And we thought, whoever has the ball last was going to win. Well, we got lucky and got a fumble. Yeah. That was break number 1. And then we get the ball down, and I think actually we had a fumble, and it bounced back to us.
We did. We had a fumble, and we got lucky and recovered it. Yeah.
Right, recovered it. And then we go down and get in field goal range. And when you're there doing that, you don't really think about it until afterwards. But my job is to catch the ball and put it on the tee. And which is kind of strange, because I wasn't actually known very well for my hands. So I'm thinking, this is a great job for a guy that doesn't catch very well as a holder. But but at that point, I'd done it all year. I've done it since I was a sophomore, so it's kind of old hat. We get the ball, snaps, pretty good. I get it on there, and Nick pulls it just left. We think, oh man, we're going to overtime.
Yeah,
overtime with Princeton.
We did not want to do with Princeton.
Overtime with Princeton was not going to be. It's not like we could run the clock out on them. So so we thought we were getting ready for overtime, and there's a flag on the ground, and their defensive end actually was offsides. And if you watch the film, he was way offsides.
Yeah, way offside.
He was. So moved it up a little bit closer, and we kicked that and go on to win a game that nobody thought we could win. Princeton was the GMC champ for 40 years, it seemed like.
Well, they had won the form of the GMC that we were in for 19 straight years with the teams that we had played in our GMC conference. 19 straight years they'd won it. Right.
And now we were the first team to ever knock them off, and them not even be in the in for a tie. So and the other break there was that Lima beat them later, which knocked them out of the GMC championship. Because that was the kind of thing that was exciting about that. But I think that's what catapulted us. Princeton was Princeton and Moeller. Those are the 2 teams every year
always
go to the playoffs. Well, now you got Fairfield and Milford. Who would have thought those 2 teams are going to make it to the playoffs?
That first playoff game, the next week we beat Baden, and it was kind of at that point it was old hat for us, right? Like it was 24-0 and we called off the Dogs. And then we have Milford the following week. And that was after literally 4 days of torrential downpour.
Yeah.
Like our field was an absolute mess. We were playing on straw.
Well, you remember they were gonna not let us play at home that year because the field. Remember they had a sprinkler leak.
Yeah,
and they tore the whole field up right before the season and said we're going to play all of our games away. And we said no way, we're going to play at home. But that day, I mean, that week was not good for the field.
No, they brought in helicopters.
They did brought in helicopters on top of it to try to dry it out as much as they could. And but again, for us, we were a grinded out type of game.
Ball control offense,
ball control, which was good for us. That time, so.
Which was crazy because I think I still threw for 2 touchdown passes that day. But I only threw the ball like 3 yards each time, and the guys just ran it in because everybody was slipping. So we get the playmakers quick in a situation like that, and they can go make plays. And I remember Mike Ritzie had a great game running the ball that day too, as well. Renners had a great game catching the ball. That was a fun game because it was all mud and it was crazy. But our defense was so good.
They were so good.
Yeah, it's so good. Like they were so good, and it reminded me of a couple years like when the Ravens won the Super Bowl. The quarterback just did very little. Dilfer did very little. You hit your tight end for some touchdowns, but really it was just your defense just killed everybody, right? Like that's what our defense did that all year.
Right. They were so big and strong up front and fast. People didn't realize that, those guys that weighed 260 pounds, 84 or 300 pounds, and the guy could fly. I mean,
he could. He was one of the best athletes. Eddie Ford was one of the best athletes around. That guy could hit a baseball so far.
Right.
I've never seen a ball hit so far in Little League and Babe Ruth. He could flat out hit a baseball like you wouldn't believe.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we were good athletes all around. Even though some guys were big, they were good athletes. Which was one thing that people didn't realize. That at Fairfield at the time, and during the '80s, we really hit a peak. Where we had a lot of good athletes all coming together, back to back. Basketball we were good, baseball we were good, track we were good. Because we had a group of kids that I think just like to play sports. We went out when we were kids in the backyard. We met up at the local basketball places and.
Holy cow. Waterworks Park was a nightly thing. And we played basketball there. We played football there and out in left field. We played our baseball games there. I mean, it was great. It was a great time. I mean, if you wanted to have fun, you just went down to Waterworks Park. Somebody's going to be there. Right.
And we'd stay there until they threw us out. I mean, there were lights on the basketball court. We'd stay there all night until somebody came down and said, "Hey, you guys got to go home." That was the thing about that group. So
and we could go off on tangents all day long. Like it's crazy. Okay. Like I bet you we could do a podcast of growing up that would blow people's mind because I don't think anybody lives like that anymore. Like nobody lives that way anymore.
Unfortunately, they don't. No.
Yeah, So we go beat Milford. Now we're in the second round, and we got to go play Dayton Dunbar, which is a ridiculous athletic team. We ended up having a couple games against Dayton Dunbar that we actually lost to them that year in the basketball playoffs at Dayton Arena. And I remember they had guys like named Ice-T Taylor and like that. I mean, they had nicknames for high school players back then. It was crazy. Right. I was just so happy. I think the guy scored 31 points on me, and I felt like I held him that game. And by the way, we didn't have a 3-point line. Right. Like, so he scored 31 points without a 3-point line.
Without a 3-point line. Exactly.
But we only lost to Dayton Dunbar by 11 in basketball that year, and they ended up winning the state championship. So we felt like we accomplished something.
Exactly.
So we'll play them in football, and we're at Dayton's football field. I don't remember what was that called.
At Welcome Stadium.
Welcome Stadium.
Yeah.
Old AstroTurf.
Right.
And guys, when I say
concrete with carpet on it.
Concrete with carpet on it, and it was freezing cold.
Yeah.
You remember the practice we had there?
The night before? Yes. It was awful.
The night before might have been the worst practice anybody's ever, like, it was the worst. Like, I'm not sure why we went.
Yeah.
Like, we did not get one thing accomplished.
Right.
Except for our kickoff teams, I think, worked really hard that day.
Yeah.
But God almighty, that was cold. And I would love to know what the temperature was at game time, but it was a little warmer the next night.
It was a little warmer that night. Yeah.
Yeah. And, we start that game off and Pfeiffer has a fumble recovery on the first play of the game. And on the first defensive play of the game, they're trying to run an option. Pfeiffer has a fumble recovery and we roll. Like we end up winning that one 19-9. They were never really in the game.
No.
We kind of did ball control again on them. Pfeiffer had a touchdown. Renners had a touchdown. Ritzy, I think, had a touchdown.
Right.
But we felt like, okay, that was a great game, right? Like complete game. Defense played amazing again. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, we talked about luck. Well, there were two things that happened before that game. One, Middletown didn't make it in the playoffs.
That's right.
If they would have made it in, we would have had to play them again.
Yeah, which we did not want to do.
We did not want to do. They were pretty good.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is that Dayton Dunbar beat Centerville that had Kurt Herbstreit and some of those guys on there that year. They were the number one seed, actually.
How did that happen?
And Dayton Dunbar knocked them off. So, there's two breaks right there for us. But then
Dayton Dunbar beat Kurt Herbstreit?
I don't know. I guess maybe the athleticism took over in that game or something, but
some luck.
Some luck. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then we went in and like you said, do our normal stuff, control the game, defense plays great. We score enough to win and move on to the next round. So
yeah. And this is when I think it got tough. Like I felt like, okay, these games now we better play our best game we can play.
Right.
Because we go up against a strong Worthington team with a really good. I think the quarterback's name, and I ended up playing college football with a guy named Ron Severance, who was the kicker at Worthington, if you can believe that. Pfeiffer
really?
He was a wide receiver and a kicker.
Yeah.
And he's the one who missed the was it the field goal in overtime? Yeah, the field goal in overtime. But we end up going to Worthington. Talk about that night it was a welcome stadium again. We had an unbelievable crowd there that night for Fairfield. I mean, it was crazy. But talk about that game. Your recollection of that game, because I could talk about them all day long, but I want to hear your recollection of that game.
Well, we came out strong. So we got up 14-0 pretty quick. And our defense was playing great. And then right before halftime, we had a little bit of a breakdown. Not exactly sure what happened, but I know Worthington gets the ball. They drive down and score. It's 14-7 at halftime. The same kind of thing though, but each week I think teams got more physical. They got stronger. I will say after that game, I think physically they beat us up a little bit the second half. And I know after that game I was pretty sore. So they come out in the second half. They kind of control us both on offense and defense. They score, tie the game up at 14-all. But now we know we're in a battle. We're in a big time battle there. And, of course, it goes to overtime. And they get the first shot at it and go down. And our defense comes out again and just stops them dead. They try a field goal and miss. Then we get the ball. And I actually think we got a first down first.
We got one first down, and then we got it to the middle of the field.
And then we got to the middle of the field, and we decided we were going to kick the ball and win the game. The thing about that is, been doing it all year long, catching the ball, putting it on the tee, all that kind of stuff. And Mike Wells snaps it. It goes above my head, so I have to get up and get the ball. I put it on the tee. When I do, Nick's already coming. When he kicks it, it hits my pinky. And I just blocked our own kick because it hit my pinky and went straight up in the air. And it's like slow motion. It took forever for that ball to get across there. And it literally only made it by about a foot, I think.
It was like a 28 yard field goal, maybe. I don't know exactly how far it was, but I'm telling you this, that was the slowest kick I've ever seen in my life. To be honest, I only saw it on film because I was on a knee, turned looking the other way when the ball went up. But boy, how lucky were we for that, right?
Oh yeah. Well, and like I said, I thought I blocked it. I thought for sure, I blocked our own kick. And then as it goes across, I didn't know if it actually made it across the goalpost. I had to wait to see the official and make sure he called it. And then when they called it good, that's when, things got pretty crazy for us,
Things went insane. We were heading to the
state finals.
Little state finals, and we were and that weekend I remember the next day I remember we watched, or maybe was it the next day? Yeah, it might have been the next day. We watched Ohio State and Michigan play at the Shoe.
Right.
Like I remember watching it on TV going, I'm going to be there next week.
Exactly.
That's insanity. In fact, when we got there the next week and the week leading up to the state championship was crazy with interviews and craziness and people coming, to talk to us. And like, it was hard to stay focused.
It was Thanksgiving that week.
Yeah. It was hard to stay focused. I think we practiced on Thanksgiving Day.
We did. Yeah. We practiced Thanksgiving Day. And then we got on the bus right after that.
Yeah. We got on the bus and headed up.
Right.
Yeah, that was a crazy week. So we're getting ready to go to the state championship. I'm like, as a quarterback at that point, I'm like freaking out. Like I am like, I can't believe this is happening.
Right.
I am like, and it's funny because I wasn't your normal quarterback. Like a lot of quarterbacks, like to me, like I think a lot of quarterbacks get, I got a lot of accolades. Don't get me wrong. I got talked to a lot because I was a quarterback. I did. But we had guys, and we knew we had guys that were more important or just as important or, that were part of this that were like,
right.
I would rather Tim Dingler talk to the press than me at that time. Like, unfortunately, they always want to come and talk to the quarterback, right? But Tim Dingler was literally like, he was so good defensively. Our offensive line was unbelievable.
Oh, absolutely.
Like our offensive line was so good. I made a comment. I made a comment in a group chat yesterday to the guys, and we still have a group chat with like 30 of the guys. I think talking to like, and we text all the time. We don't miss birthdays. We don't miss.
Right.
We just love each other. But in the group chat, I said, "Hey, I don't remember getting sacked very much." and Steve Mathis chimes in because he always does. He goes, "Yeah, the only time you ever got sacked is when we got pissed at you and we would open the floodgates and let him hit you." Yeah. And it's, I mean, I really believe that. I believe that they were that good, so I just wanted other people to. We didn't care who got the accolades. We didn't care who scored. We didn't care, and I think that's why we were so good. We were genuinely happy for somebody who did something great, even if it wasn't us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't know where that came from or what it was, but I think it was just the fact that we had played together for so long, we were successful so long, but we were also friends outside of school.
We did hang out.
And sometimes we hung out, sometimes we didn't, but we still knew if I needed somebody.
Yeah.
All I had to do was call and say, "Hey, I need a ride," or "Hey, what's going on tonight?" Something like that. There was always somebody there. And I think that's what made it special. And a bunch of guys that just enjoyed being out on the field. People complain about practice and all that kind of stuff. Practice does suck. Nobody likes practice.
Yeah, nobody likes practice.
But I think we had fun at practice.
But here's the difference. Here's the difference. Our practices, we ran plays.
Yeah.
We did not do drill after drill after drill and bear crawls and all we didn't run especially that much.
No. We did not.
We practiced and repetitions of plays and repetitions of plays. Like I don't remember doing a ton of, which I really enjoyed doing it, the 7-on-7 stuff where we threw the ball. Like we lined up against our number one defense because we didn't have a lot of guys playing both ways.
Right.
And we've made each other better. Like our defensive line made our offensive line really, really good.
Right. Exactly.
Right. And I remember it didn't stop that week of the state championship. We didn't not hit each other. We still hit.
Yeah. That was part of, I think, what made us so tough, and we had injuries along the way and
absolutely
like
David Rose, Josh Sabolchek, our fullback got hurt and a sophomore had to, Todd Murphy separated his shoulder and next thing you know, Ray Bull's in there and Ray Bull was really good. Right. Jeff Peelage.
Yeah, Tim Reynolds got in. He got, and got hurt, and which was unfortunate in our group. John Napier started on the offensive line and then got hurt.
Yep.
And then, but that's how we were so good because we had people that could fill in right behind him.
We had some depth, yeah.
And the young guys saw the expectation. we didn't come into that year just to win a couple games. We were going to win, and if you weren't going to be on board, then, get out. Yeah, we got things we got to get done, and I think we got that from the group in front of us.
Absolutely.
We front us the same way, and they tested us. They made it tough on us,
Yeah, guys I was afraid of.
Yeah.
Jeff Sizemore, my sophomore year, I was afraid of Jeff Sizemore like you wouldn't believe. I was scared to death of that guy, and he's the nicest guy. I've been back home in Fairfield. He's the nicest guy. He shakes my hand, says hello. I was afraid. Danny Slazo, same thing. He was a lineman, and I mean, I remember coming into the huddle as a sophomore that year, and I couldn't even, I was so scared, right? And Sizemore used some expletive at me and said, "Just call the play and let's go."
Exactly.
And so
we had
they made us. They made us.
They made us. We had Rob Payne and Mitchell, and I'll never forget the time we did the bump drill and Mitchell was across from me and his chin strap wasn't buckled and I wasn't paying attention. I had my head down and they blew the whistle. Well, on the whistle, you go.
You go.
Hurt. Well, he didn't have his chin strap buckled yet, and I hit him right underneath the chin. Oh, the next 2 times he hit me, I thought I better hope I make this out alive. So
you're getting into some traction,
right? But that I think that's what made us so good. We were physical, we were strong, we went after each other, we even challenged each other. First team against first team. It wasn't put a scout team out there and let us just run the play. We did that on Thursdays, but we didn't do that in the middle of the week. We were going after each other.
And I will tell you this: I didn't get hit a ton.
Right.
But I was scared when John Gray, Eddie Ford, Tim Dingler across from you.
Absolutely.
You are worried that one of those guys is going to let loose on you at any point. Right. And they could have, and they didn't. They hit me. They would wrap me up. And, but I think just going into that state championship game, I've never felt so prepared in my life.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. I never felt like I was nervous, but it was a good nerves. I didn't sleep much the night before in the hotel.
Right.
But I felt like we were going to win. I didn't think it was going to be as close as it came to. Now we were very lucky because the quarterback at St. Ed's got hurt. Right. They had a backup quarterback. We were very lucky, but we were facing probably the best running back that we had faced ever. So talk about the night before and then the day of and how your emotions and things were going through your brain. Cause it's crazy because it was 40 years ago, but I can remember.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And especially for me, Dad and I doing it together, and we kind of talked about that first day he came to me, and and I sat in the room with him and Mom for a while and talked about it, and just the fact that we were there. I mean, we're playing at Ohio State. I'll never get a chance to play on this field again. So ever. Yeah. So I better take advantage of it. The fact that we were there, it was a tough night to sleep. It was exciting. We went to a couple games the day before. I think we went to watch Purcell play the night before.
Yeah, we watched some of that game.
And I think we watched a little bit of Cape. I'm not sure, but
we did with Carlos Snow and Vinnie Clark.
Right.
Because Vinnie Clark ended up playing for the Green Bay Packers.
Right. Exactly. And those 3 guys or those 3 teams coming out of Cincinnati was exciting and all that stuff, and kind of put a little pressure on us that they won right off the bat because we had to come out and say, hey, you know what, we got to do it too.
Yeah.
But I guess it was kind of surreal. We're here and we're in that last game. And I guess the biggest thing for me emotionally was it was our last game.
I thought about that a lot.
Yeah. We want to go out on top. Obviously everybody does. There's only one team in the state that goes out as a winner every year. And you definitely want to be there since you're up there. But I thought the other thing is this the last time I get to play with these guys. So, let's go out and give it all we got and see what happens. So
yeah, and I remember the pregame, when we came out to just walk the field and things like that. There weren't a lot of people there yet.
Right.
Then we go into the locker room after we warm up. We go into the locker room and we come out and oh my gosh,
I know.
I had never seen anything like. I bet you there was 30,000 people there. I know.
Yeah.
At least 15,000 from Fairfield were there, in my opinion.
Right.
The whole lower bowl on our side was taken up.
Right.
And remember, that place holds 70,
Oh yeah.
77,000 at the time, I think.
Right.
And I was in awe of that. Like it shook me a little bit. It made the nerves and made me go, oh gosh, let's not suck today. Right. Like,
Right. Exactly. Well, what it was uplifting for the whole town. Fairfield never thought they were going to get to a state championship in football. And I don't care what anybody says. And I know this sounds bad, but there's nothing like winning a state football championship.
oh, look, yeah, you win it in baseball. There's 1,000 people there watching. You win it in basketball. There might be 5 to 10,000 people there watching. Right. Like, but football in Ohio.
Right.
I say other than Texas, Florida, and California, and maybe Pennsylvania.
Right.
At the time, Ohio was a top 5.
Absolutely.
In the country at the time.
Right. Absolutely. And when you go out there and see everybody there like that, you're doing it not just for you, you're doing it for the whole community. I mean, it uplifts the community. And, we talked about it before, and we talked about writing books and stuff. But one of the big things I think that people don't understand is that we almost didn't have a team.
Yeah.
Because the levy the year before, we had to pass it or we weren't going to have football.
We're going to have athletics.
Yeah. I mean, we already had people that were looking to travel other places. I was going to Blanchester of all places if it didn't work out. And in our community, even though they were struggling because Fisher Body had just found out they're leaving, the automotive industry in our town was leaving, and parents were worried about financial situation stuff, but they came out and voted for that levy anyways because they knew that we need to have sports and things like that. So, for a lot of people to understand that backstory is that we didn't just do it for us; we were doing it for that community.
That community, and the thing about Fairfield that I know it's changed over the years. Lost you. All right. Well, I just figured out why he's retired from teaching. He can't use electronics. I guess somebody was trying to call him on his phone. He tried to end it, and he literally left us. So we're back, and we were talking about that state championship. We were talking about literally the leading up to it, the days, and then when we went out on the field, we came out, we saw Fairfield, and it was just they'd come out in like mass group of people. So it was really cool to see. Talk about when you stepped on that field and those emotions and how you got yourself prepared to play that day.
Oh yeah. For all of us, especially as a high school kid, that's a dream come true to get there. Now the next thing is to go out and win it. And for me, it was special, obviously, because Dad had coached for so long. He had turned so many programs around, but the one thing that eluded him was the state championship. So it was special. It was for him and I, to ride the bus up together, to, sitting in the room the night before, to talking to each other. And, and he just looked at me then before we went out.
Wait a second. You roomed with your dad?
No.
You just
I just sat and talked to him for a while. No.
Okay. I was like, wait a second. He roomed with his father?
No. I didn't. He didn't want me in there, and I didn't want to be in there. So
but
when before we walked out, he looked at me and kind of hit me on top of the head and stuff. So it was something special. And then when you get out there onto the field, like you said, when we went out before that, there's hardly anybody there. Stadium's so big and vast that you think, there's going to be a small little group of people in the middle. But when you run out and see all those people with their red and white and coming in still as we're coming out on the field, it took a different meaning. It was overwhelming, and I think when I came out, if you watch it you can see it on the film. I came out, and I don't know what happened to me, but I sprinted 100 yards. I don't remember doing it. I just remember somehow I'm in the end zone on the other side and, trying to prepare for the game stuff. But I think that's the fastest I ever ran 100 yards in my life. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, it was pretty incredible. And thinking back on it now, like it wasn't a lot of talking going on in the locker room beforehand. There wasn't a lot, like it's weird. It was kind of an eerie, quiet people were ready to roll. Like our guys were ready to roll. And I could look in guys' eyes and I knew they were, okay, let's go. Let's
Right.
go. Like I saw that.
Right.
Now I'm not sure they saw that back in me. They might have saw fear back in me, but like I remember looking around going, ooh, I would not want to be their offense, man.
Right.
Because like John Gray and Tim and Eddie Ford, those guys, like they were hitting each other. They were, I mean, it was pretty crazy. And I, our defense, I don't talk about our defensive backs enough, but our defensive backs were really good.
Oh, they're really good.
McBee, Hubbard, Joe Bear,
Right.
Rod Hubbard, Jamie McBee, Joe Bear, Tim Ritchie.
Yeah.
Like those four guys back there. I think Tim Ritchie had two interceptions, didn't he?
Yeah, he had 2 interceptions, and
I mean,
he went on to college to be a 3-year All-American. So
yeah, I mean, amazing player.
Right.
Who, to be honest, I sat behind all through youth sports as he was a quarterback.
Right.
So that really helped him. Like when he got to high school, being able to understand what quarterbacks are looking at, and he was a ball hawk, man. Yeah. So we get ready to play, and I remember the night before, Fife and I somehow had this bright idea that we had run the ball. We had given the ball to Tim Ritchie on the first play of the game, I think like 7 straight games.
Yeah.
On the exact same play.
Right.
The exact same, and Pfeiffer and I, being as bright as we are, decided we got to talk Coach Stewart into throwing the ball in the first play.
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't work out real well. I underthrew it by about 7 yards, 8 yards, and it gets picked off, and they go in and score. What was going through your brain at that point? Were you like, Horman, you idiot? Because that's what your dad was thinking. But, I remember just walking off the field going, if I screwed this game for us, I'm going to be pissed. Because I didn't make mistakes. I didn't make a lot of mistakes as a quarterback.
Right.
I was really careful with the ball.
Right.
And that was a big mistake. And they go in and they go right down and score.
Right. Well, they had one of the best running backs in the state there.
Yeah,
so
Chris
Williams. Didn't take off and score. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think I really felt any different than we had all year long. I knew we had a long game. Everybody gets kind of bent out of shape. We start off a game that way, but I just knew that we were built for that kind of stuff. Princeton did the same thing. Princeton went up 7-0 in less than 10 seconds. We fought our way back. So I don't know if I really felt any different at that point.
I didn't really think of that before you just said that, because what we did, we didn't really get rattled crazy when we would get behind.
Right.
I will tell you this: I was pretty upset when I came over to the sideline, and John Lunsman came and found me and put his helmet in my helmet and said, "You got this. Let's go. You got this. We're fine. We're fine." And luckily enough, we have guys like John Pfeiffer who came across the backside on a third down play and went 79 yards for a touchdown that I threw 8 yards in the air, mind you.
I was going to say, though, I want you to tell the truth. You were throwing that to me, weren't you? And he just cut in front of me.
God, no.
Just kidding.
I never threw the ball to you.
No. I know you didn't. But I was standing right there, and I went, "Wow, what happened?"
Yeah, he just came across backside, and I threw the ball, and I saw him coming, and I threw it to him, and luckily hit him in stride, and he literally broke right in between two guys and went down the sideline, and he was gone.
Right.
And we go up. I mean, we forgot to say they missed the extra point, which turned out to be huge.
Right.
But that's when I was like, okay, we got it, because our defense is too good, right? And the rest of the first half, I felt like our defense just dominated.
Right.
And I think halftime we were up 14 to 12. 14-12.
Yeah. 14-12. Yeah.
14-12 at halftime. And we had gotten a pick and taken it down. And we were on the 1 inch line, and I can get in the end zone from the 1 inch line. I did the quarterback sneak and got in there, and 14-12 at halftime. And then I really was a little nervous at halftime, because I was like, I felt kind of like momentum had kind of started to go their way.
Right.
And your dad, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, they scored late in the half. The only reason it was 14-12 is they went for 2 and didn't get it. So,
it could have been very different, 14-14.
Right.
And that's another team that I don't think we would really want to go into overtime with, just because
No.
of how good their running game was. And when you put the
Right.
ball in the 20, you don't have to throw.
Right. Exactly.
So
Right.
yeah, we did not play a particularly great second half offensively, if I remember correctly.
No, not really. I mean, we moved it a little bit, but not very much, because they were pretty good on defense too. So
yeah, and I got sacked a couple times, held the ball a little too long, not because our line didn't do their job, but because I held the ball a little too long. And I threw two picks that game, and I wasn't. That's not something I really do.
right.
And I threw two picks, and the second pick, I was pretty disturbed with myself, because we had been moving the ball.
Right.
And I think after the second pick, they went down and scored that touchdown that put them ahead.
Right.
When Williams went around the side and just outran our guys, because he was that good, right?
Right.
And then they went for two and got it. So they were up 20 to 14, and it was just the start of the fourth quarter, and we had our backs against the wall. And I mean, I don't remember feeling like we couldn't win, but I did feel like, oh, we better get going now.
Right. Exactly.
So,
and then but again, I think we started to get a little nervous. For the first time, I felt like emotions were coming out in some of us that we hadn't seen in a while, or had felt. But, I still felt comfortable. I felt like, as long as we could keep the ball moving, and keep our defense from getting hurt. And then we got lucky for us, not for him, unfortunately, but Chris Williams got hurt. So
but he got hurt. He got hurt in the series right after we went ahead, I believe.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So when we went ahead, I don't know why Coach Stewart would let me throw the ball anymore, but he did. We got a really big play out of John, a 46-yard or not touchdown, but a 46-yard pass. I mean, I had a little bit of pressure, went to my left, and I remember getting hit in the gut when I threw that ball.
Right.
And I was gasping for air, but Fife cradled it in, and that was really when I was like, okay, we got this.
Right.
So talk about, as we get down close, we're losing 2014. There's I want to say 8 minutes left in the game, 7 minutes left in the game.
Right.
And we're getting down there. Talk about about the play call and what went down at that point, because there's a lot of different variations on this.
Oh, I'm sure there is. But I remember standing on the sidelines. I was the next one to go in. I think it's fourth down. I'm pretty sure it's fourth down, wasn't it?
No, it was third. And the only reason I know that, for years I thought it was fourth down.
Right.
But WMOH just played and I listened to the end of the game with my wife. And it was third down. It was third down. And we could have gotten a first down.
I think we could have. Yeah. We absolutely could have. Yeah. And
we were on the one. I think we were on the 1.5
yard line. Yeah. And Coach Stewart looks at me and goes, 6 boot. And I looked at him and said, what is that? And he goes, 6 boot. I said, we've never run 6 boot. What is that? And he goes, just run it. Okay. Because the last time that I questioned him didn't work out so well for me with Dad standing behind me. So, so I was checking over my shoulder to see where Dad was first. And then he said, just run it. Okay. So I run out to you, and I remember you came out partway from the huddle, and I said, 6 boot. You looked at me and said, what the hell's that?
I didn't know idea what 6 boot was.
I said, I don't know. I said, he just told me to run it. So run it. So we're all trying to figure out, and no offense, Scott, but I'm thinking we're going to let Scott Horman run a boot.
Nope. I had no business running a bootleg. I had no business. I had no business running a bootleg. I had no business.
And I remember you walking into the huddle and going 6 boot. And Steve Mathis, of course, turns around and looks at it and goes, what the hell's that? And you and I both at the same time said, just run it. Okay. So
and I did. I looked at Fife, and I kind of I looked at him, and he kind of, I didn't say anything, but I looked at him, and he knew that, I got to get open.
Right.
Scott cannot run this in. There's no way.
And that linebacker had been talking trash the whole game too. on John and,
Yeah.
and all of us. And then he stepped up. Remember, he got up in the gap, and that's when you guys kind of gave the nod to each other and turned around.
We got lucky. I faked we did have a six. I faked this to the halfback through the 6 hole and faked that, and I started the bootleg, and there was a guy on me.
Right, like that.
Like I turned to look to see if I could run, and I had nowhere to go.
Right.
And as the guy was tackling me, I just threw the ball to John, who had done kind of a button hook,
right,
and had his guy pinned behind him. And John was a lot bigger than him,
right,
and it just went into his arms,
right.
And it wasn't a great pass, dude. It's funny because all John's kids call me Duck Man. Because I did not throw the perfect spiral a lot of times.
Right.
Right. There were a lot of wobbly passes out there being caught.
Right.
And that one was as wobbly as it could be. And John caught it. And I'll never forget, I'm on the ground and I look up and I'm watching him hand the ball to the defensive back.
Yeah.
Which I was surprised could have gotten a flag.
Right. Right.
But thank God those refs had their, kind of knew, okay, we're not going to call flag right here and cost somebody a state championship. So, and then obviously, again, probably the most pressured kick I've ever been a part of in my life. We're up 20, or it's tied 20-20 with 5:45 left in the game.
Right.
And
we got to make it.
We got to make a kick. Right. And I don't care what anybody says. High school kicks are not.
You're not guaranteed.
They're not guarantees. They're not automatics like they are in the pros. I mean,
right.
But Nick Toon had ice in his veins, man, and you did too, putting the ball down on there and kicked it. And then I was like, okay, all right, let's go. But I was still concerned because we left a lot of time on the clock for them to score.
And like you said, Chris was still in the game at that time.
Yeah, but he got hurt in that series. They got a 3 and out. Right. And he got hurt in that series. Right. And I remember when they punted to us, I thought, oh, we just got to keep the ball away from them.
Right. Exactly.
And we didn't do a very good job of that. We gave it right back to him. 3 plays later, which.
And I think Sully had a bad punt too.
He did. He got it. I mean, it might have been a 15 to 20 yard punt, and they were in our territory.
In our territory, because I remember he kicked it and it came to our sidelines.
Yeah.
And it bounced right in front of me, and I happened to catch it, and you can see me. I slammed the ball down on the ground. And I'm thinking, oh crap, we turned around and gave it back to him. But our defense,
thank God for our defense. I mean, they were so good, and so Williams gets hurt. We go in. I think okay, all we need is a first down. It's like 3rd and 3, or something like that. 3rd and 4, and I'm thinking, are we going to run it and pass it here? Let me throw a ball out into the flat. Right. No way Stu was letting me do that after the way. I mean, Yeah. So we run the ball 3 straight times. We take time off the clock. They call timeouts. In fact, it got to the point where they didn't have any timeouts left because they had to stop the clock after each play. And then Sully got a good punt off. Right. The second time. Got him to the 50-yard line. And so Chris Williams was out of the game at this point.
Right. And they had to throw.
Now, they did bring him back in a couple plays, kind of like okay, are they going to hand the ball to Williams? But he couldn't do anything. So they used him kind of as a decoy, if I remember correctly. And they tried to throw 3 times or 4 times in a row and didn't do it. Right. I'll never forget the sack that we got to end their chance of winning. Right. And just oh my gosh, if we just don't fumble the ball, exactly. We won it. Don't fumble the ball. Don't fumble the ball, which ironically, my first college start, I ended up fumbling the ball on a 4th and 1. Yeah. But luckily we didn't do it there. But that was it. And the place was going crazy. And I remember I was really nervous about taking a knee because they had been shooting the gap. So I would take the knee and then hustle out like a big old girl, right? Like I'd take the knee and then run out here so I didn't get hit. So we did that twice. We had to kneel twice. Right. And as that clock ran down, I just looked up at that scoreboard and was like, oh my God. And I remember the first person who hugged me was Tony Hughes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Tony's passed away and
Right.
passed away of cancer, and we love Tony and we love his family, but that was the first person who hugged me, and just so happened to be when I moved to Fairfield, Tony was the first person that came and knocked on my door.
Oh, wow. I didn't
Right.
know that.
He lived a block away, but he heard I had moved in town and he
Right.
came and knocked on my door.
Yeah.
So that was a big emotional time. And we were, it was crazy. We were crying. It was nuts. And I know you went after your dad first. I remember that. And he was, I've never seen him smile so much in my life.
Oh yeah, he was not an emotional guy at all, and then for him they caught him with a picture with his hands up in the air and like that. So, which was pretty special because for a guy like him to be so successful and not get that big win was pretty tough, And he was starting to think that maybe
he was never going to get
happen, So
I've been coaching baseball for 25 years. I've been close 4 times.
Right.
Never won a state championship in baseball, right? Like, I mean, it takes luck. It takes
a special group.
Yeah. It takes a lot of special things to happen to win a state championship. And
absolutely.
What's funny about this is, we did that. And I remember saying, I don't remember who I was talking to. Somebody asked me how I felt. And I said, we talked about it since 7th grade and we did it.
Right.
But my next words were, it's hard to believe it's all over.
Exactly.
And that's really what hit me was I can't believe I'm never going to be on the football field with this group of guys again.
Yeah. That was tough. That was actually the hardest part, because after the game, we're celebrating, doing all that kind of stuff. The next day hit me.
Oh,
it's it. We're not going to wear that jersey anymore. We're not going, and you have your last practice at the field and things like that. And you get a little emotional there. And, and most of us, well, I'm always an emotional guy, but most guys weren't that emotional. So it was didn't seem like a big deal to them, but to find out, years after that, they all felt the same thing we did,
Yeah. And it was pretty emotional. Like, like I'll talk about this and then we'll be done because we could talk all day about this. But
we could,
and I can't wait to talk to the other guys on the team and spend time and then put this all together. But really, what I took from it was we just accomplished something that nobody thought we could accomplish.
Exactly,
nobody, and I mean,
right.
Nobody. Like, if you read the preseason papers, we were like, they're going to be okay, but they got to replace Johnny Curtis, Steve Phillips, and Tom Popplewell.
Right.
Like, and nobody knew. The fact is, we were on the JV kicking everybody's butt.
Right.
Like, so when we did that, and we, we showered and we got in those buses. I got really emotional on the bus ride. Because we, as far as you could see, like, what's Columbus from Fairfield? 2 hours?
2 hours,
2 hours.
Yeah.
As far as we could see in front of us were taillights.
Right.
And as far as we could see behind us were
the headlights,
Headlights, right? Like, what were you thinking when you were on the bus and riding back to Fairfield and like, I mean, seriously, because I can still remember my brain going, this is insanity.
It's crazy. Yeah. And who would have thought that winning a football game would cause that many people to be so excited, and the biggest thing for me on that ride home, it was kind of quiet actually. We won, we celebrated in the locker room, and then on the bus, we kind of just, I don't know if everybody was in their own thoughts and things like that at that time, but I think we were amazed that we did what we said we were going to do. It was such a long ride. We fought our way there and now it's over. And your body kind of lets down and things like that. But I think the biggest thing too is when we got back in town by the Swordsville.
Yep, by the Swordsville.
The whole parking lot is packed. And these aren't even people from Fairfield.
No.
You go down Route 4, everybody in Hamilton is out on the streets, waving and honking horns. And
Hamilton. Like Hamilton. Right.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
I mean, we went through places that, that don't like us.
Yeah.
and they're out celebrating with us, which I thought was pretty impressive, and it was pretty cool to see that so many people were with us on that trail. Even though they didn't like us when they played against us, they wanted to see us win when we got there. So
Yeah. Which we always wanted that for Princeton and those schools too, as well.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
You always want your league to win, but we got back to Fairfield and the place was insane.
It was.
The gym, like, I'm not sure who tried to organize that, but it was the most unorganized thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, it was crazy.
It was. Yeah, it was. The next day they give us a 2-hour delay, and then we went straight to an assembly, and I don't even think we went to school for 2 days after that.
We didn't, because then they set up, and here's the crazy thing. Us guys that played 3 sports,
right?
Like, we had basketball practice
the next day.
Yeah. And we didn't even go to school for a couple of days because we were going to all the elementary schools.
Yeah.
And signing autographs and talking to kids. And like, it became like you were a celebrity in Fairfield at that point.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I tried to explain that to people. It's hard to explain.
Well, and I think if you haven't experienced it, or you're not around, like, Princeton and Moeller and all those schools that win several of them, things like that, for a place like Fairfield to win it, especially at that time, because if you remember at that time, there were only 2 public schools that had won the state championship based on, the playoffs. The Princeton and I want to say Cardinal Mooney was the other one.
Mooney,
we were only the 3rd team that was a public school to do that. And you mentioned earlier that everybody doubted us. No,
it wasn't doubt.
Yeah, nobody thought we could win, and even when we got to the playoffs, they picked us to lose and things like that.
Yeah.
Tim Dingler, the last time we all got together, he's the one that said this, that it really stuck with me, is that we were the only ones dumb enough not to know any better.
That is so true.
It's true. We didn't even think about not winning. We didn't think that the other teams were better than us. We were dumb enough not to.
That is unbelievable. That I didn't hear Tim say that, but that is so true. We really thought we were going to win.
Yeah. What's losing? We hadn't done it, except for that one game, and that was just miserable. I can still remember nobody wanted to talk to us for 3 or 4 days after that game, because we were all pretty upset about that one.
Yeah, I didn't talk to very many people after that game, because I really felt the weight of it on myself at that point, even though we didn't play well as a team. But I particularly did not play well, and I remember it, and I felt like I let everybody down, because there was a chip on my shoulder all the time to prove that I should be the quarterback.
Right. Well,
like, I had that. Yeah. I had that chip, and when I didn't play well, I felt it. So you're right. But the more important thing is when you talk about Fairfield and you talk about what, like, they built us.
Oh, absolutely.
It was a hard-nosed city. It wasn't a bunch of country club kids. It wasn't. No. These were kids that their parents worked real jobs.
Yeah.
Both parents worked a lot. Right. Like, there were a lot of families that moved into Fairfield because of the school district. The school district was good. Our teachers were great.
Right.
Our administration was unbelievable.
Right.
And they built us. Right. And I felt the pride in that.
Right.
I really did.
And they took athletics seriously. They knew athletics was a serious part of the educational process. Yeah. And a lot of people that didn't play sports and things like that are going to say that, well, they got tired of all the state championship stuff. Well, yeah, they might have, but they also realized it brought pride to our school. Yeah. Even beyond sports, and things like that. We had a lot of people who did some really great things from our school, especially during our era there. Not just football and basketball and things like that. There was a lot of really smart people who came out of our.
Oh gosh, yes.
We have a country singer and stuff out of our class. So it wasn't just football, and it wasn't just that. I think the community built us as people. Football just helped us a little bit more in the fact that it taught us a lot of lessons about life in general.
Yeah.
You have to depend on other people, and those people got to be held accountable, and also that you can't give up when things get bad, and you can't give up on a dream. I mean, we had a dream when we were young.
Yeah, we did. And
Um,
and what's going to be cool when we get together in October, what's really going to be cool is it's like we never left each other.
right.
Like it really is. Like you and I, we talk. I mean, we probably talk once a week now,
Right.
and we have the text messages, but we don't see each other all the time. And I
No.
don't see Fife all the time, and I don't see Mathis and Dingler and Lunsman and Napier and all those guys all the time. But when we get together,
Oh,
dude, they mess with me just like they messed with me in high school. Dude, I tell you what, Steve Mathis, and Eddie Four and all those guys, I had the same math class with them. And I will tell you this, they humbled me every day.
well, I'm sure they did.
They would never, ever, ever let me get a
Right.
big head and act like I was a big deal.
Right.
Like they brought me down and said things to me that I would not say to my worst enemy.
Right.
And it kept me. I mean, it was
Right.
great. It was the best thing ever could have happened to me, right? Like
Right.
even our last golf tournament I was at, I had a knee brace on and Mathis would not let it go.
Exactly.
So he just messed with me the whole time about it to the point where I took the dang thing off. So,
Yeah.
but look, man, we could talk, and we probably will talk again and again and again about this stuff. But
Right.
look, like I want to thank you for being a friend. I want to thank you for being a teammate. But more importantly, like you took the legacy and you kept it going. You started coaching. You started helping young men. You were around football. I mean, lacrosse. What else did you coach?
Well, basketball, baseball, wrestling.
Baseball. I mean, you've coached everything.
Pretty much everything, yeah.
Everything. And people like you are why we have young people, again, continuing to grow. And my podcast, it's God, Family, School, Baseball, or God, Family, School, Sports, right? Like that's my thing, and that's what I believe in. And you have done that as well. And your father would be very proud of you. And like I'm proud that you're my friend and teammate, and they can't take it away from us, buddy. 1986 state champions.
Absolutely not. Well, we'll always be that, no matter what happens. So,
well, appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you.
This is one of a lot. And Randy, we'll talk again. And again, guys, you're listening to the Scott Horman podcast, talking about the 1986 state championship Fairfield Indians. Thanks for listening.